Shalom, shalom, shalom. Welcome back. Welcome back. Tuesday night lesson. I forgot to change the title, man. Salakia. Salakia. There we go. Con. How do I exit out of this guy? Salakia. Welcome back, you guys, to a Tuesday lesson. It's gonna be entitled "Fish Out of Water." Right? Fish out of water. Could have titled it "Fish in Water" too, right? We'll figure that out once we get started. First and foremost, we want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We do so by way of His only begotten Son, who's an instrument of salvation for the nation of Israelites. Right? You Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. We go ahead and play the blowing of the shofar. Con. I do got one short video clip, man, that I'm gonna play, and then we'll get into the video. The video clip is really just gonna display the title. It's gonna explain the title of the lesson, "Fish Out of Water." Another brother, Azrael, played a clip from the same podcast last time, but this is a different interview. I thought it was interesting, so we're gonna play it today. Play about maybe a minute of this. Real cool guy. I believe he's Hispanic. He ran with a Hispanic gang back when he got locked up. He got out. He went in for murder. He got out and became a pastor, right? But he said something that we're gonna dive into in this lesson today. We'll go ahead and play. Y'all let me know if you can hear it.
Fair use.
You said what?
Fair use.
Oh yeah, fair use. Here we go.
What did you know about gangs back then at that age?
Well, I was raised in the gang culture. So to me, it was normal. Like I saw gang members come into my brother's room like this and get tattoos and drink. My house at a time was what they called the local kickback house, where all the gang members would come and get drunk and get high. So I saw gang members since a little kid. So again, it was like the fish analogy. I was in the water. A fish doesn't know they're in the water. And so I was, they fed me. They took care of me. I was little. Right? They were like, man, that's David's little brother. And they gave me attention. So they even told me when I was little that I swore I would never be like them. That's what they told me.
Did you look up to them at all?
For sure.
That's really all I wanted, man. The analogy of the fish in the water. And one thing he said about it was, excuse me. One thing he said about it was how a fish doesn't know it's in the water. You know what I'm saying? It's just living its life. Like for instance, we can go our lives before we even hit school. We don't really know that we're breathing oxygen. We don't really know we're breathing in air. We just in the air. You know what I'm saying? It's normal to us, right? So we're gonna dive into that concept a little bit today. Let me pull this up. I'll always be doing that. I always be exiting out of the tabs, man. Let me reshare my screen. We're gonna jump into some scriptures, man. It shouldn't be a long one today, man, but you know, I think it'll be well needed for someone out there, right? Let's go to the book of Ephesians. We're going to start in the book of Ephesians, 4:18. Shalom to the brother Baruch in the chat. Shalom to the brother Baruch in the chat. And we'll start top to bottom, like always. I don't know why it didn't do that. You can sorry, I gotta clear my throat every 5 seconds for some reason. It's like you. Ephesians 4:18, start from the top.
Ephesians 4:18, having the understanding darkened, being alienated from the life of God through the ignorance that is in them, because of the blindness of their heart.
Right, man. That's really what it means to be a fish in water, especially
Out of water.
like a fish. Well, fish in water in this scenario, right?
Oh, all right.
Just like he explained in his scenario where he asked him, he said, how was it, being around gang life at such a young age? And he said it was normal to him. He didn't really know it was gang life. It was just regular life to him, right? It was normal to him, like a fish in water. A fish doesn't know that they're in water. He didn't know that he was in gang life, right? And this same thing, as it says in Ephesians, it's saying that these people are alienated from the life of God, but they don't even know that they're alienated from the life of God. That's why it says that they're ignorant, right? With the ignorance in them because of the blindness that's in their heart, right? And so they're fish in water right now, just like the brother explained. Let's go to Romans 11. We'll go to Romans 11:8. For the Obadiah.
Romans chapter 11, verse 8. According as it is written, God hath given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear unto this day.
Right, man. And the reason why their hearts were blinded, why they were ignorant, is because of the Most High, right? The Most High has put a spirit of slumber on a lot of people to where they're living in that fishbowl, not knowing that they're, swimming around in water, not knowing that they're not supposed to be aqua creatures, right? But a lot of us are, and a lot of us were, right? Get some more on this concept real quick. Let's go to the book of Hosea. Hosea 7:2. Hosea 7:2.
Hosea chapter 7 and verse 2. And they consider
Hold on. Salaki. Jumping the gun. Hosea 4 and verse 6. The classic.
Hosea 4 and 6. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee. Thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children.
Right. The bad thing about being in water, man, and not knowing is you're still susceptible to the things in your surrounding, right? A fish is still susceptible to sharks, if you may, right? A fish is still susceptible to fishers and fishing hooks and stuff like that, traps and snares. A fish is still susceptible to all that stuff. Same way, like if you're living in your life, in this case, the brother's case, he was in gang life, right? He was still susceptible to the consequences of gang life, even though that was his normal life, right? He says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Just because you don't know you're in water doesn't mean that water is not going to affect you later down the line. Your environment, that is, right? We kind of spoke about this last week. Just want to paint a picture here. Let's go to the book of Isaiah.
Con, if you ignore the dangers of something enough times, whether it could be one time, it could be 2 times or 3 times. If you ignore the dangers of something, a lot of times it becomes normal to you, right? We know that first time you may question it, but then when you see other people do it, you feel comfortable because other people are doing it. But at that moment where it becomes normal to you and you have no conscience or nothing in your ear making you question it, that's what the Most High God said, I'll give you over to a reprobate mind. You don't know that you have a reprobate mind when he gives you over to one, right? I believe the scripture said, as it was your mind to go astray, right? That means in your mind, nobody wants to go to danger. Nobody wants to go astray. But in your mind, it was in your mind to go that way because you didn't see anything wrong with it, right? So a lot of times, man, that's how it is when you're, like the brother said, a fish in water, when things seem normal to you. Then you forget, oh, I'm not supposed to be down here. Let me get a breath of air. I've been down here too long.
I think I had no, I didn't. I like that precept you had that you mentioned. I want to examine it really quick. I thought I had it in my Rolodex here, but I didn't jot it down, man. So shout out to you for bringing that up. This is at Romans 1:28. This is Romans 1:28. It says, and even as they did not like to retain God in their what? In their knowledge, right? Again, this word knowledge, you're probably not aware of God, right? You're not even aware that he's around. You're not aware of the wit of his wisdom. God gave them over to a reprobate mind. Just being in a reprobate mind in itself is being oblivious to your surroundings, thinking it's normal, right? When he gives you over to a reprobate mind, you literally are going through the motion thinking that everything is fine, right? You ever seen those people that just believe crazy stuff, right? And they'll put their life on the line to say it's true. That's that reprobate mind. You can't tell them nothing. The Bible also talks about it being seared in their minds, right? And so that's what it's talking about when it's being a reprobate mind, that you don't even have no conscious of what you're doing, whether it's right or wrong. It's just normal to you at that point, right? I'm gonna go to another classic, still kind of painting the picture here. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 1 and 3.
Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 3. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel does not know, my people does not consider.
Right, man. God's people, the Most High's people, don't even consider who they are, right? We're walking around aimlessly thinking that we're everything but who we are, right? We think we're African Americans, Afro Americans, Nation of Islam, Black Panthers back on the rise again. We think we're Bloods and Crips and GDs. We think we Q Dogs and Alphas and Kappas, right? We think we're all these things, but we don't even consider who we are. And once we get consumed in the things that we think we are, that becomes our normalcy, right? That becomes our fish tank. We don't even realize that what we're doing. We don't even realize that it just becomes normal to us, right? We don't know that our environment is toxic and detrimental to us at that point. Why? Because we don't, one, consider who we are, and then this next one's going to tie into it. Watch this. We're going to go to Hosea 7 and 2. So one, we don't consider who we are, and then also this as well, right? We can read this too.
Hosea 7 and 2. And they considered not in their hearts, but I remember all their wickedness. Now their own doings have beset them about. They are before my face.
Right. We don't consider who we are, and we don't consider our own doings, man. We don't consider what we do. We don't consider our wickedness. Why don't we consider those things? Because we're oblivious. We're just fishing water, right? We're just living our normal lives. They say in the days of Noah, they say in the days of Noah, and so it's gonna be like in the future, people gonna be, giving in the strong drink, marrying, you know, partying, fornicating, all of that stuff, because and they're gonna be in their normal lives. They're not even gonna realize they're doing anything bad, right? They're just fishing water at that point. You know what I'm saying? One thing about a fish in water is that's when they're the most comfortable, right? That's when they're, they can breathe. You know what I'm saying? They feel like they can breathe. You know what I'm saying? They feel independent. They don't have to second guess about staying alive when they're in water. They just staying alive, right? And I said that, just to tie in something that we're gonna go into. Let's go to another classic real quick. Jeremiah.
Also what this could look like is, for example, jumping out of a plane. That's not normal behavior. That's not everyday life. Deep diving, scuba diving into the deep, right? Into the deep sea. That's not normal everyday life. But you have some people that do it so much, it becomes a way of life for them. And then they'll forget that this is not normal. And then that's how mistakes happen. They forgot to do something for their parachute and now they're dead because it was just a way of life. They never stopped to realize, hold up, I'm not supposed to be doing this. Let me take this serious. Or even deep sea divers. They having the time of their life down there in the water. They not even keeping track of their oxygen tank. They don't forgot they need oxygen.
Right.
They swimming around looking at all the fish. They don't forgot they're a human being. They need oxygen.
Right. And why does that happen? That happens because we get into a place of comfortability, man. Just like we were speaking about. You get too comfortable, you start allowing yourself to be vulnerable. You start putting your guards down, right? There's two things I want to mention. I wanted to bring this up earlier. I forgot to when the brother Azrael commented the last time, right? They say scientifically proven that there's something in your mind that after you lie one time, lying becomes easier each time, right? Like for the first time, it might be a struggle in your mind to like, I don't want to lie to this person. You know what I'm saying? But then you go ahead and do it. They say the next time it's a less of a struggle. Then after that, it just becomes normal for you to lie. That's how you get habitual liars. At some point, they just stop caring. It's normal for them to do, but it's not supposed to be a normal characteristic for you to do, right? And also the brother mentioned like skydiving and all that stuff. If you work construction, man, you've probably been around people that have been doing it for a long time that don't even, use their harness no more when they on scaffolds and stuff like that, right? Because it's normal to them. They feel like they've got their footing and all of that until one slip up happens, right? And then they end up losing their life. And that's typically what happens spiritually as well, right?
Yeah,
You're fishing water. You think everything's good, right? And then that one day you're not really focusing on it. That's when there's a leak in your fish tank and the water's slowly going down and before you know, you fighting for your life. Go ahead.
You have people like welders and you have people like painters. They do it every day. They don't even consider all the metal that's going into their lungs or all the paint fumes that's going into their lungs because they do it every day. So they don't wear the proper mask and stuff because, if I do this every day, I know how to, you eventually stop smelling the fumes from the paint. It just seemed normal. You eventually stop noticing that you're breathing in all these metal shavings when you're welded, right? Until some years pass and now you're in the hospital, right? Because you felt like you were a fish in water until you got that reminder that, hey, I'm not a fish. But yeah, you.
Right, man. And we can get into stuff that's not normal to us in this life, and I won't even say normal to us. I'll say stuff that's not conducive to us and things that we weren't created to be around or to do, man. You know what I'm saying? And if you do it so much, right, that's how you create those habits. And that's what really creates that normalcy, right? This is Jeremiah 17:4, another classic, man. Got a lot of classics in this lesson.
Jeremiah 17:4. And thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee. And I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger which shall burn forever.
Now we're getting to, a little bit of why, it's why we find ourselves in this predicament, right? It's because it's because of the Most High, but two is because of our obedience. And one thing I wanted to point out in this is that he took away our heritage, man. So that's why the brother could talk about gang life being normal to him, because his new heritage that he found was gang life. You know what I'm saying? That's all he knew. Because our heritage was taken away from us. And see, if we had our heritage a part of us, that would be our normalcy. It would be normal to keep the laws of God and stuff like that, right? But now we're susceptible to being in these ghettos, to trying to fit in with society and all of this stuff. That we're around the wrong environment and we're in the wrong fish tanks. You know what I'm saying? We're in the wrong fish tanks. I want to read this real quick. Romans 1 and 28. Romans 1 and 28.
The book of Romans chapter 1 and 28. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge.
I did have this. I'm tripping.
You did read this, yeah.
Go ahead and read the second verse.
29. Being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers.
And all this stuff becomes normal to us after a while, man, doing all this stuff. Keep going.
Backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful.
Right, man, bro. We become numb, and this becomes our normalcy, and we don't even think that nothing is wrong with doing these things, man, which is crazy, right? Verse 32.
Who, knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them.
Right, man. It's saying that who, knowing the judgment of God, that they would commit such things are worthy of death. We don't even know that these things are worthy of death that we're doing, right? But we still have, and not only do we not know, we have pleasure in doing them. We wake up every morning looking forward to doing these things. We plan our weeks incorporating these things, right? And that's how oblivious we are to the normalcy of the fish tank that we're in. Right? One thing I wanted to point out, the brother Azrael always mentions when we're on the street corner that when we go to Deuteronomy 28 and we read these curses, that these curses are often referred to nowadays as generational curses. Why are they generational curses? Because now the curses have become our normalcy. The curses have become our water, right? It's normal to wake up and see black on black crime. It's normal to wake up and see black people growing up without their dads. That's not nothing unnormal to us. It would be weird if we knew a lot of people that knew their dads. You know what I'm saying? These things would be, so we grew up in these curses and it's normal to us, right? And so what happens is, since it's normal, it's easier to perpetuate. It's easier to push. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't know nothing's wrong with it, you'll say, man, it's just a way of life, right? We talk about our diets, right? I often talk about the story about when my wife and I came into the truth, and we were starting to put down shrimp, crab, pork, and lobster and all that stuff. And she kind of told her mom like, "Yeah, I'm not eating pork no more." And her mom said, "Girl, you sound crazy. You're a Puerto Rican. That's in all of our dishes, right?" Because that normalcy of doing it, it perpetuates in our even in our families, and we don't think anything's wrong with it, right? But because of these curses, because of the spirit of slumber that we're in, because of the fish tank that we're in, we think it's so normal. That means it's easier to perpetuate. The problem with it is it's perpetuating the wrong thing, perpetuating the wrong thing, which makes our job harder to fight against it, right? I got Matthew 15 and 14, right? This is what happens when you got that case.
Matthew 15 and 14. Let them alone. They be blind leaders of the blind. If the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch.
And that's what's been happening to us this whole time, man. Right? We steady in this rat race in the same fish tanks, right? Fish, the tank getting dirty and all that stuff. It's getting so dirty we don't even realize it's dirty. We just think that's how it is. You know what I'm saying? We we kind of swimming in there. Everything's kind of foggy. We don't even think it's foggy. We think we still got 2020, right? The moment you get put into a different tank, or the moment they clean your tank, you're like, dang man, I ain't know it's a whole new world. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole new world, but it'd be blind leading the blind. And that's how we perpetuate it with these generational curses. That's how we perpetuated the sins that we grow up in. Even in the interview that we played in the beginning, right? He said it was normal to him that he was the youngest and he was being brought up like this from all his siblings and all his siblings' friends, right? Aunties and all of that stuff. But you got to understand, they didn't just come up with this way of living on their own. They probably was brought up like that too. And they probably were perpetuating the same thing, which was the blind leading the blind, man, that ultimately led him in prison, getting a life sentence. You know what I'm saying? Let me get one more precept before we switch gears real quick. Acts 26. And
Man, you know, the Bible also says the light shines in darkness, and the people in darkness comprehended not, right? Meaning, how can you not comprehend light? It's because you're blind. If you see a blind person, they can't see light, they can't comprehend it, right? They don't know it's there. You can shine a light in their eyes, they're blind, they don't know it's there, they can't comprehend it. Their life is normally dark. It's normally dark. So when they see light, they literally can't see it. They're blind, just like the last precept we saw, right? And so that's why a lot of times, man, the only thing that can bring people out of darkness is the Most High. You can try to shine that light as much as possible, but they can't comprehend it.
Right. You have something to say, Obadiah?
Y'all gonna say, man, a lot of people, when it comes to the end times and when it comes to judgment, a lot of people are blind to that. You know, a lot of people think, you know, America gonna last forever. They think I got all the time in the world. World War III ain't gonna happen. You know, a lot of people are thinking these things, not knowing that they're blind and not knowing that it's a judgment at the end of your life. You know, you're gonna have to go to. It's gonna come a time where you're gonna have to stand face to face, you know, with the Most High, man, and you're gonna have to, you know, explain however he gonna do it. But you know, you're gonna have to pay for the things that you did. But a lot of people think, well, you know, that ain't gonna happen, or I got time, or we're gonna be here forever, man. But no, because they blind, and they blind leading the blind because they know another person thinking the same way. Then another person thinking the same way. Then they auntie thinking the same way. They uncle thinking the same way. So it's like the blind is falling after the blind until, you know, they fall into a ditch, and that judgment they coming, and it's over with.
Yeah, man. You know, the sad part about it is, man, when we as we're adolescents and we're growing up, some of the main people that we rely on to gauge whether something is right or wrong is our older relatives, whether that be your mom, your dad, your auntie, your uncle, even your big brothers or your big sisters, right? And so if they're not, if they're making it seem like it's all right, it's hard to come out of something um where everybody that's around you that's supposed to be giving you wisdom, they're not making a big deal of it, you know, and they're actually indulging in it as well, right? For instance, it's the parable of not eating of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, man. You know what I'm saying? If you never even taste it, you won't even know what you're missing, right? For instance, they say stuff like, uh, you know, people always say, man, dang, your kids are gonna grow up without celebrating Christmas and Halloween and all that. And it's like, bro, if they never celebrated, bro,
Exactly.
and you know, this is gonna get this verse is gonna get into it. But if they never celebrated, bro, it's their normalcy, bro. They're not gonna even know they're missing out on anything. Just like a blind person. If a blind person was blind their whole life from birth, they're not even gonna think seeing is a thing, bro. It might be like a fairy tale to them, like it might be mythological to them because they all they know is darkness, like the brother Azrael was going into, right? And so sometimes your normalcy can be gauged, right, by whether or not you go on a limb to do the wrong thing. And the moment you do the wrong thing, if you don't reel it in quick enough, you know what I'm saying, bad habits can form and that can be your new normalcy. But this is Acts 26 and 18.
Acts 26 and 18. To open their eyes and to turn them from darkness to light, and from the power of Satan unto God, that they may receive forgiveness of sins and inheritance among them which are sanctified by faith that is in me.
Right, man. To open their eyes, man, to turn from darkness to light, right? And from the power of Satan. This is what we're striving towards, right? Opening our eyes and turning from darkness to the light, like the brother mentioned not too long ago, right? Not too long ago, when the brother Azrael was saying, man, if you can't comprehend light, it's because your eyes are not open. The eyes are closed. You know what I'm saying? But this is what we're trying to aim to be, right? So I'm gonna switch gears a little bit here, right? We're gonna get into some more precepts. Um, uh, so what happens, man, when you come into this truth? You come from being in that spirit of slumber, of being blind, and now you're enlightened. But we call it a lot of stuff, man. Like, you know, you woke now. A lot of people called it the Great Awakening when we had a mass influx of Israelites coming in, right? All these things are the adverse of having your eyes closed, being blind, and all of that. But now that you're in that mode, how do you get out of water, right? As a fish, right? How do you get from around swimming in that fish tank that's been so normal for you for your whole life, right? We're going to try to help you with that today. Let's go to the book of Joshua, right? Joshua 1 and 8, right? So first step, I would say, man, you gotta get to reading, man. You gotta get to reading because you're not gonna know that you're living the wrong day to day until somebody lets you know or until you figure that out, right? And once you've been enlightened, now you gotta see what your day to day should consist of, right? And how you do that by reading. This is Joshua 1 and 8.
Joshua 1 and 8. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success.
Right. Then you'll see what you're supposed to be doing on a day to day, and it's not what you used to be doing, right? And we often talk about the transition from coming from the world and into the truth. It's a little bit of a learning curve, right? There's some fleshly pushback, right? But you're entering into a new normalcy. I think there's another precept that similar to this, but it says that, you know, you'll teach your sons and your sons' sons and your kids and all that, your grandkids and all of that, right? It's time to perpetuate the new normalcy, right? That's why I'm calling it fish out of water. You were a fish in water, meaning you're a fish in this fish tank. A fish doesn't know he's in water. You didn't know that you was in the wrong environment when you had that spirit of slumber on you, but now it's time to come out of the water, man. Now it's time to realize that you're in water. And contrary to popular belief, it sounds detrimental to come out of the water, right? But we got to lean out unto our own understanding, knowing that we will be sustained by the Most High, right? And He's the one that breathes, gives us breath. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 10, right? This is another classic, man. Now that you're enlightened, you're awake, right? What are you supposed to do? Deuteronomy 10 and 12.
Deuteronomy chapter 10 and verse 12. And now, Israel, what does the Lord thy God require of thee? But to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul.
Right?
To keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes, which I command thee this day for thy good.
For thy good, man. That's a rhetorical question too, right? Watch this. It says, and now Israel, what does the Lord thy God require of thee? We go through this on the street corner a lot, man. Now that you know who you are, man, the Lord's already requiring something of you. You can't live how you used to anymore, right? This is the whole concept of becoming a new creature. Matter of fact, you're not a fish out of water anymore. You're not even a fish no more, right? You're a whole new creature. You don't belong in the water in the waters no more, right? Just follow along with the analogy if you understand, right? Let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians, what do I want? 15 and 34. Do I sound okay? My thing blinking red.
Yeah, you good.
Yeah, you sound all right.
I think it's about to die on me. I think I need it. Yeah, it's about to die on me. It's 1 Corinthians 15 and 34.
This is 1 Corinthians 15 and 34, and it reads, awake to righteousness and sin not, for some have not the knowledge of God. I speak this to your shame.
Right, man. If you don't have the knowledge of God, man, it's a shameful thing. It says awake to righteousness. That's what you need to be doing right now, right? You need to be reading and you need to be awaking to righteousness. But how do we find out what righteousness is, right? And that's what we just read in the previous verse, right? Seeking the Lord with all of our heart, mind, and soul, and coming back to His commandments, right? That's what seeking His righteousness looks like. Let's go to Revelation. I would be remiss if I didn't pull out this classic, man. This lesson got a bunch of classic precepts in it, man. 18 and 4. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up. I think this is the one I want. Yeah. Things back on Azrael.
Come Revelation 18 and 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people.
Fish out of water.
That ye may not be partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues.
Right, man. You got to come out of that environment that you was in, man. That was toxic, that the Most High didn't create. Because the people that are still in that environment, they're going to get judged, man. You don't want to be a part of it. My brother talked about growing up in gang life and how that was a norm to him, right? He was just a fish in water. A fish didn't know that it's in water, right? But now when you look at it, he has to come out of that. I mean, he already got judged. He got sentenced to life. But think about, in the new perspective, now that I see that I'm not supposed to be around this stuff, you're supposed to get the heck out of Dodge, man, because judgment is coming for those people that's in that environment, which it ended up did, man. Everybody that was around him end up getting some type of judgment, right? And so you want to remove yourself from those environments, man, because they're detrimental to you guys. Let's go to 2 Corinthians. Um, 6 and 2 Corinthians 6 and 17.
Oh, 2 Corinthians 6 and 17. Wherefore come out from among them and be ye separate, says the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you.
Right, because that's the only way the Most High is going to receive you is if you come out from among them and be set apart, man. Be separate, right? You got to come out of the water, man. I know it's comfortable in there, right? I know it's something you've been doing your whole life, but you got to come out of it and you got to trust God and do what He asks of you, man. Right. So if that looks like losing some friends, losing some family, so be it. That's typically what happens when you become a new creature. You got to separate yourself from your gang members, right? And they're gonna talk trash. They might even have an attempt on your life, right? Whatever. You got to come out of that fraternity or that sorority. Hey, a lot of people got to come out of the Christian church, man. And you know that's a painful struggle for a lot of people. In the truth, man, they can't let go of that thing. You know what I'm saying? They just loved it so much. But why do they love it so much? Because it was their normalcy, man. They had created habits of going to church on Sunday. They had created habits of doing certain things that the Christian church perpetuates. And so when you do something for so long, it's hard to break that habit. But you have to do it. You got to separate yourself. And that's what the whole concept of becoming a new creature is. Go ahead.
Kanye, you know, there's some people that they do so many years in prison that when it's finally time to come home, they end up killing themselves before they can come home because they can't comprehend or understand what it's like to be free, even though it's beneficial for them, right? And there's cases like this in all different aspects of life, but once you get accustomed to doing something over and over and over again, for example, we talked about the blind, right? We have surgeries now where people can, you know, kind of correct their eyesight. But if you've been blind for so long, some blind people, they may say, nah, I don't want my sight because it's overwhelming to them. Even though they can see, a lot of them, you know, not a lot of them, but some blind people say, you know what, nah, I don't want the surgery. I'm already used to this life. And spiritually, a lot of people say that too. They say,
Right.
you know, I know it's supposed to be better for me. That's what everybody keeps saying. Everybody keeps saying this life is spiritually better for me, but I'm already used to this life. So I'm
Right.
good.
You know, they say in a lot of prison people say some of the hardest things coming out, man, is like you know, there's a guy, man, he said that even when he got home from prison, he got an apartment by himself, but to go to sleep, he was still sleeping with a knife. And he said he bought an apartment in the suburbs in a nice area. He said to go to sleep, he still had to sleep with a knife, and he had to slide his dresser in front of his door every single night for like 3 months. Right? That's how paranoid he was from coming from serving prison. I think he had he served like 15 years or something like that. There's also people say that's very common that they can't take showers without flip flops anymore, without having shower shoes. Right? They say it feels weird to go in the shower without shower shoes because they've been doing it for so long. Right? I saw a brother, actually the same brother that was in this thing, man. He said on his release date in California, if you were on life, it was mandatory that when you get released, you can't just go. They got to drop you off. 2 armed officers have to drop you off at your house, right? And so they said it was about to run out of gas, whoop de whoop. And so they pulled over, and the officers went in the gas station, and he stopped one of the officers, and from the back seat, he said, "Excuse me, can I go use the bathroom?" Right? And the officer looked back and said, "Buddy, you're free. You can do whatever you want." You know what I'm saying? But it was normal for him to have to ask for permission for certain things. You know what I'm saying? And so even in that aspect, it's when you coming out of something that's normal, right? It's hard to it's hard to embark on your new life from the beginning, right? It's gonna seem awkward. It's gonna seem weird, right? Your flesh isn't even gonna comprehend it, right? But those are good things, man, because you can't grow without being uncomfortable. You can't get back to what you're supposed to be doing, what you were created for, without being uncomfortable. Because that's the only thing how to it's I mean, with anything in life, there's withdrawals, and it's the only thing that happens or that has to happen when you become a new creature. The withdrawals from the bad habits and the bad life you used to live, right? Did we read this yet? Yeah, we read it. I got two more. Two more. I got Acts 17. These last two are classics too, man. This whole lesson really was built off of classics, to be honest. Let's go to Acts 17 and 30, right?
God, this is the book of Acts, chapter 17 and verse number 30. The classic. And it reads, in the time of this ignorance, God winked at, but now commandeth all men everywhere to repent.
Right, man. Meaning God turned a blind eye to your ignorance. Not all of it, right? You know, but sometimes he can. Sometimes he will, because he understands he put that spirit of blindness on you, right? And that ignorance is you being ignorant that you're a fish, man. You don't know that you're in water. That's just what you do. Swim in water, right? You don't even know there's water around you. You don't know what this called. You know what I'm saying? What this substance is. You're ignorant, right? But even in your ignorance, God winked at. But now He commands you to repent, to turn from your wicked ways, to change your life. That's what happens when you get enlightened. You get enlightened to who you are. That Most High only loves you and all this stuff. What are you supposed to do? Change your life, man. You know, a lot of people do though. They wake up to who they are, and they take it back to their fish tank, to their environment, man. Right? And they think it's gonna change people around them. They think it's gonna change their circumstance, and it doesn't. Then they end up falling out the truth. Why? Because they realize, hey, look, man, I can't have this mindset in this environment. It's not gonna work. If it's not gonna work, that means it's not right for me, I guess. And they just drop it. It'll only work if you come out of that fish tank. It'll only work if you come out of that previous environment, right? Where they say into the marvelous light. It'll only work if you separate yourself, man. It's not going to work if you go back and you still doing the same stuff you used to, right? There's a lot of people that do that. A lot of people that do that, and that's not the way to go, right? And I'm precepting this with this precept right here. Let's go to Hebrews. I'm tripping. It's in the New Testament. Hebrews 10 and 26. Hebrews 10 and 26. We used to pull this out every Saturday. Go ahead.
Hebrews chapter 10 and 26.
Work it out.
For if we sin willfully after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins.
Because once you're awakened, once you know that you need to get out of that fish tank, man, and you stay in that fish tank, right? Or you stay in your sins. Once you willfully do that, the sacrifice that was made to take the blinders off you, the sacrifice that was made to let the scales fall from your eyes, it's null and void anymore, right? He made a one-time sacrifice so you could open your eyes, realize where you were, and get the heck out of Dodge. If you didn't get the heck out of Dodge, hey man, you're gonna be like Lot's wife. You're gonna be like those that were around Noah, drinking and fornicating, man. You know what I'm saying? Once you get that warning sign, man, don't wait for a second or a third. Take heed to the first one, right? When it's time to get to be a fish out of water, that's what you got to do, right? Anybody got anything else?
King, my lesson, man.
Con, man. Told you guys it wouldn't be a long one, man. I hope it was a edifying one, though, man. Learn to be a fish out of water, man. I know sometimes we can go through life um, being comfortable, but sometimes comfortable is not always the right thing to feel, right? Sometimes we need to, and that's what I tell myself a lot, right? There's stuff that I deal, there's stuff that I deal with on a day to day, or just in my life in general. It might be temptation, it might be uh, you know, struggles, hopes, wishes, whatever you want to call it, things that I wish I could change, stuff like that. And I understand that, those things are necessary to feel. If you're going through life, man, and you're not feeling nothing, you know what I'm saying? Like you need to change anything, or you're going through life and adversity's not hitting and stuff like that, and you're just going through life too comfortable. I think there's a precept in there in the Bible kind of alluding to this, but if you're going through life too comfortable, man, um, it's a red flag that you might not be doing what you're supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? Especially in this life in 2026, man. Uh, Feeling a little bit of persecution for doing what's right is needed, So be that fish out of water. Come out of her, my people, right? Come out of normalcy. Come out of your past lives. Come out of wickedness, man. And yeah, that's all I got. If nobody else has anything else, man, we do say shalom, shalom, and shalom. And remember that big brother Christ, our big brother Christ said, if you're not gathering, you scatter. We'll see you guys next time. I think tomorrow, Wednesday, Lord willing. Meet us here, man. Or beat us here. Don't meet us here. You know what I'm saying? We'll see you guys next time. Shalom.